So what types of questions will I be asked? At National 5 level, you might be asked to state, name or identify. These are the simplest questions and they only require one word or a few words in your answer. The next level up is a describe question. They only require a short description and are typically just a sentence long. Both National 5 and higher will be asked to explain. So you will be required to write a short description with a reason why you would want to do that. At National 5 and higher, you'll also be asked to evaluate. So at National 5 level, you might be asked to evaluate the suitability of a particular thing, and you'll also be required to do a 6-mark DRV question. In the higher paper, you will also need to evaluate, and these require a fact, an opinion and a consequence, the same as National 5, and this is you arguing why something is good or bad. And at higher only, you will be asked to analyse, and this will be your DRV question, which is a 9-mark question, where you're analysing the impact and the consequence to health of a person's diet. So what is the difference between these types of questions? So when you're asked to state something, that only requires a few words. When you're asked to describe something, that will require a short description, typically a sentence long. When you're asked to explain something, that requires a description and a reason why you would want to do that. And then for your evaluate question, that will require a description, known as a fact, an opinion, which could be good or bad, and then a reason why that fact is good or bad, and that's known as your consequence. So now for some examples. If you were asked to state a method to reduce fat, you might want to say the answer grilling. If you're asked to describe a method to reduce fat, you might want to say to reduce fat, high-fat foods like bacon could be grilled. So you're adding in more detail to your answer by giving an example, and you've also written it as a sentence. If you're asked to explain a method to reduce fat, we've already got our description. To reduce fat, high-fat foods like bacon could be grilled, but we now want to give a reason why that would help to reduce fat. So in your explain answers, you want to stab your answer, and that just means that you're using words so, therefore, as and because. So we've chosen the word as there, and then we've given a reason why, as the fat drips off and doesn't come back into contact with food. If you're then asked to evaluate a method to reduce fat, we've already got our description about high-fat foods like bacon could be grilled. We've already given our reason why, as the fat is dripping off and it's not coming back into contact with the bacon. For your evaluation, you just want to give an opinion about whether this is good or bad. So we've chosen the opinion, this is good. Another example could be if you were asked to state a functional property of fat, you could say aeration. Remember, for state, name or identify questions, you're just given 1, 2 or 3 word answers. If you were to describe a functional property of fat, we're wanting to write a sentence. So we're saying aeration, air is trapped when the butter is creamed with sugar. Remember, for your explain, we want to stab our answers. So we've used the word so here. And you want to give a reason why we would want to cream this butter with the sugar. So we've said, so making the cake light and fluffy. So what is the consequence? What is the reason why we want to cream the butter with the sugar? If we're asked to evaluate a functional property of fat, we then want to add in an opinion to our explain answer. So is this a good or a bad thing? In this instance, we've said it's a good thing. So we've got our description, aeration, air is trapped when the butter is creamed with sugar. We've got our reason why or a consequence as it's making the cake light and fluffy. And then we've added in our opinion, this is good. Our final example could be if you were asked to state a benefit of additives, we could say a longer shelf life. If you're asked to describe a benefit of additives, remember we want to add more detail into this answer. So we're now saying that preservatives give foods a longer shelf life. If we were asked to explain a benefit of additives, remember we want a reason why we'd want to do this, and we're wanting to use words like so, therefore, as, and because. So we're saying that preservatives give food a longer shelf life, so that's our description or a fact, and then our consequence, so less food is wasted. And then if we were asked to evaluate a benefit of additives, remember we want to add an opinion into this. So we could say that preservatives are good, as this gives foods a longer shelf life as less food is wasted.